Last year, I felt more lost than I ever have in my own life. And I was so disoriented and so confused about how the life that I was living, that I had put work into and set goals towards, was so not the life that I wanted to be living and the life that I was aiming for in all the years before. And for me, clarity didn't come from forcing better answers or better goals. It came from asking myself better questions and getting really honest with myself and realistic about what the life that I wanted actually looked like, and then what that life was going to take for me to achieve. So, here are ultimately the three questions that I was able to navigate through in time last year that have helped me now have a better, clearer understanding of where I'm headed than ever. And it's helped me feel so much less lost and disoriented. And I found so much more calm through the clarity that I've been able to find, even though I'm not there yet and I'm still far away from where it is that I want to ultimately be and what I want my life to be able to look like. I am so much more clear about what it is that I am achieving and how I'm going about achieving that. And like I said, that brings so much calm. So I hope these questions help. Before I get into the first question, I just want to emphasize that there were a couple things that were really required of me in order to make these questions effective, and that is a very real level of being honest with myself and self-honesty, being ready to look into the mirror and know that I needed more structure, better frameworks in my life, and also a lot less fantasy and just imagining that things were going to work themselves out. And so it was really important for me to be able to just get honest with myself in order for me to help myself. So let's get into it. Here are the three questions that will help you get clear about your future because they helped me. Question number one is, what kind of life do you actually want to live? I think it was easy for me to set goals that felt good and maybe would look good from the outside once I achieved them. But the real question that you need to ask is, what kind of a life and what do you want your days inside of that life to look like and to feel like? What do you want your schedule to look like in order to get clear about what goals you need to set from there? This is before you even establish what kind of goals you want to set. And it's just to understand what kind of life you're really building towards. At this stage, the most helpful thing for me and the most awakening thing for me was actually envy and jealousy. And I think there's a negative connotation with these things, and they make us feel kind of not so great. But I think that that can be a huge indicator, and is a huge indicator about what kind of life you actually want for yourself. And so I was able to use envy and seeing another girl online who, for me personally, is an author and a speaker and a writer, be able to live her truth and live her life. And I just felt like that should be me. And that's the kind of life I want for myself. And that's the potential that I have in myself. And so that was like shining a flashlight kind of on what it was that I wanted most deeply down. And I think it's so easy for us in the world of social media to feel a little bit of envy and a little bit of jealousy for, I don't know, everybody we pretty much see online that has a different life than us. But if you can really cut through all of it and get down to like the person who's living out their days like you want to be living your days, not just going on a vacation that you want to go on, but deeper than that, like executing and putting their talents out into the world in a way that you want to be putting your talents out into the world, like that's a huge indicator. And you're able to use that then in order to help yourself answer this first question of, what kind of life do you actually want to live? Who do you want to be within that life? What do you want your days to look like? And who do you want to be helping? Because that's such a foundation of what it takes for us to be happy as humans, is to serve others. Who do you want to be able to serve with whatever you put out into the world, whether that be through your career or what your career enables you to do outside of it? So envy isn't a character flaw, it's often a clue. And I didn't get very clear about what I wanted from my own life until I was able to ask myself, what would be sustainable for me for years and years and years, and not just look impressive from the outside. And I had set goals in the past that were not really aligned with what I would have wanted my life to look like day by day for years and years and years at a time. So get clear about what you want your life to actually look like. Question number 2, what will that life actually require you to do? Because meaningful lives require structure and income and the energy that you need day by day to actually go about living that life. So this question was the hardest one for me, really, because I think I was pretty clear about what kind of life that I wanted to live way before I got clear about what that life would actually require. And for me, this is where books and knowledge and self-education really came in, and also ChatGPT, because it is a helpful tool. This is a great time to look at the ins and outs of the financial side of what is the life that you want actually going to require of you as far as income goes. And there's a lot of other things that go into it, but we live in the real world here, and income is such a part of that. If I want to be able to travel freely, I also not only need time freedom away from a 9 to 5, but I need income freedom and some sort of financial freedom. And that's a big term that's thrown around a lot. And what that's actually going to require is getting clear about how much money per month you need. And so I mentioned ChatGPT because it can help you get kind of a ballpark. You just put in like your house payments or your rent payments. How much time off do you want per year? What do you want to do with that time off? How much money do you want to be able to have in your savings account within however many years, et cetera, et cetera. It will help you figure out a ballpark number. It's not going to be exact of how much money you need to make in order to actually live that life. And then from there, the other aspects of the life that you want to live, like I said, time freedom and energy, like health and relationships. How much time are you going to need, and what are you actually going to have to put in to those baskets of your life in order to achieve that life that it is that you want? So having more knowledge is really the way that you're going to be able to answer this question for yourself, and closing that knowledge gap between the things that you dream of and the things that you figured out that you do want for yourself, and then how to achieve those goals. If you want to work for yourself, then it's time to close the knowledge gap between what it is you haven't been able to achieve yet and what it is you want to achieve through listening to books that are going to help you understand. This goes for any goal or any kind of dream life that you might have. It's that if you're somewhere and you're not where you want to be yet, what kind of knowledge and education and resources can you consume in order to help yourself close that knowledge gap to get you closer and closer to being able to execute on the level that you need to achieve those goals? Knowledge and attaining knowledge doesn't make decisions for you. It makes those decisions much less guesswork, and you can save years of your time and energy by getting clear about what goals you do want to pursue, and then understanding very clearly what it's actually going to take, what roads are actually going to lead you there versus be massive detours. And so get clear about what it's actually going to take to achieve the life that you're going to build. So question number 3 is, what do I need to let go of and build instead? This is a 2-part question because both of these parts are equally important, because in order to have the energy and time to build what you actually want to build, you need to know what you're willing to let go of. And for me, it was goals that I had set in the past that were really hard last year for me to let go of. I had shared this in one of my previous videos, but I had started a business to paint murals for people and be a muralist. And yes, it definitely checked some of my boxes when it came to creative freedom. It did not check some of my boxes when it came to just the time and energy that I needed to spend being on a job site, actually doing that job, physical labor, and it just wasn't very scalable for me at the end of the day. As hard as it was for me to let go of that goal, I needed to, because I wasn't going to be able to build what I'm hoping to build now pursuing that business with all of my free time and with all of my energy that it would have required in order to make that business support me on a full-time basis. I had put years into trying to start this mural business, but just closing that knowledge gap and recognizing that, wait, that business and that goal actually wasn't going to help me achieve the life that I wanted in the best case. It was going to be me building myself a very labor intensive full-time job that required full-time marketing from me. And I didn't really want that for myself. And so even though being a full-time muralist was going to look impressive from the outside and check off that box of like, yes, it's something that I worked for years to actually achieve and do, I had to let go of it. It's really hard to do that. If you've set goals for yourself in the past and you're recognizing now that they might not be the best fit for the life that you actually want to build and go all in on something else, sometimes it does make sense to let them go. And it is hard to know what you should let go of and what you should keep going on, because just quitting everything that you start isn't going to get you anywhere. But at the same time, it's really powerful to recognize when you are on a path and you have gone down a path that isn't going to lead to the destination that you ultimately want. And I'm a big believer in taking those lessons that you've learned from that path as far down as you got down it, and then taking them to your new path so that you can travel a little bit faster on that one. But ultimately, the goal is to pick the right path, or at least be going in the right direction from here, so that we're not going halfway down paths and then turning around again. So that's a big lesson for me that I've learned over, the course of the past 5-10 years. But here we are, and I think honesty is better than dishonesty with yourself and just continuing to go down a road that's not going to get you where you want to go. So what is it that you're going to build instead? Now that you've figured out what kind of life it is that you actually want, what it's going to take to build that life, and what you need to let go of so that you can build, it's time to get really clear about what kind of framework that you're building to support yourself. And not all businesses are created equal. Not all career routes are created equal. Like I said about my mural business, it wasn't going to lead me to have the days that I wanted to. Just getting clear about what it is that you are going to build. What kind of reverse engineering can you do from this point where we've answered those questions, and then what are you going to be so excited to build because it's going to give you that life that you want, that you're not going to burn out. It's possible to build a life that you don't feel like you need to recover from every night. And I think that should be the goal for all of us, because we only have one life to live. I think we can underestimate what we can achieve over the course of years, but also overestimate what we can achieve in a short time. And I think it's so important to understand that 3 to 5 years from now, if you choose the right road, your life could look so much more like you want it to. And these questions helped me get out of the life that I was living at a little over a year ago. I've never felt so lost in my own life. And I couldn't really answer these questions for you very clearly at all. And I had to do a lot of work to figure out what the answer to these questions were, and then just educate myself and pursue the knowledge that I needed and the structure that I needed in order to make myself actually capable of striving day by day on the right paths to achieve what it is that I want. And don't forget to enjoy the journey. I know it's so hard as an ambitious person to slow down and appreciate the small things, even though we're not there yet. But there really is not a there yet. It's just the work that you put in every day. And so I hope that you're able to build a life that you feel like you don't want to escape from, and just keep putting in the work. And I will see you next time. Bye.